Hello, welcome to my Barossa kitchen. Now this is going to be very homespun, so bear with me. It's just being filmed on my phone and where I'm going to learn as I go, along with you I hope. I want to share just a really simple meal every day. It could be so easy, so quick to do, using minimum of ingredients from either your pantry or your garden, if you're lucky enough like I am to have a garden. It's got to be full of flavour is a given, but it also full of goodness as well. And it's about getting others to help you. Everyone's home, so someone's got to do the washing up. Today I'm simply going to cook a very easy meal that I love to eat, and it's eggplant and eggs. Simple as that. I've got 2 medium-sized eggplants from my garden. I'm taking the skin off only because one of my family doesn't like, in fact is allergic to eggplant. But when I take the skin off, Ellie can eat it. So, and for a dish like this, that my sister-in-law gave me the idea of, Mila, is it technology great? Okay, I'm just putting those in there and this here. I might have too many for the pan, but we'll see. Now, the things that I cannot cook without: good salt and pepper, verjuice for me, but you can use mirin or lemon, but you always need an acid balance in your food. And then the big one, oops, extra virgin olive oil, and always make it Australian. That way you'll know it's extra virgin, and we are all about thinking Australian, aren't we? Okay, just olive oil, a couple of tablespoons, enough to get olive oil all over. None left in the bottom of the dish, and salt. Salt aids caramelization, gets that lovely golden colour. And ready for the stove. I have to get the pan really hot before I start, and I might put a little bit more oil, just a tablespoon, in the bottom of the pan. And yes, I am fairly extravagant with only with olive oil. Did I say that? I think I might be a bit more extravagant than that. Just a little bit on the base of the pan to tell me when the pan is hot enough. Now, if you're not sure, have a little piece of bread and just throw it into that little bit of oil on the base of the pan, and if it goes golden, you know it's ready. But because I want to get a little bit of colour in the eggplant, and I haven't salted. Mind you, I've picked the eggplant from my garden, so I know it's fresh. But if you're having to buy your eggplant, always look for that shininess, that firmness, and even heaviness of the eggplant to show you that it is really fresh. And not too big. When you get them too big, they've been too long on the plant, and they'll have a lot of seeds inside, and that's where you'll get a bitterness. So you'll need to salt them to get rid of that. Am I telling you too much? Okay, I don't have the bread, but you can hear. Can you hear? Oh, perfect. All right. Having the right pan for the right dish makes it so much easier. So I'm just going to let, this will be about 10 minutes, from beginning to end. Give yourself 15 for the first time perhaps, but it's not long. I want that colour, but the colour is only on the outside, because one of the things about eggplant, if it is undercooked, it is terrible. So it has to be cooked all the way through. So you get colour on the outside, but you have to test it to make sure it's cooked right through to the centre, because that's when you get eggplant as it should be. Because I rely on my garden such a lot, and I know not everyone has a garden, but at least by the filming I'm going to do with ingredients coming from my garden, you're going to know that they're in season. If you're not confident about tossing the pan, you can just use a pair of tongs and turn them over. It takes longer, but it's not quite as much fun as giving it a toss. But because I want the colour on both sides, and I put very little oil on, I'll just turn the bits over. Oops. Right, too much. Rather toss. Okay, that's happening. The eggs. When I'm preparing any vegetables, I always have, well, it's a chook dish. At the kitchens, we always call it a chook bucket, but a chook dish for all the scraps, because the more you feed your chickens scraps, and particularly greens, the more beautiful the egg yolks are. They go a fantastic golden colour. I know every now and then, if I put a dish like this up at home, which I do, Colin will say to me, "Can I have meat tomorrow night?" And of course this could be a lunch dish. For me, I'm happy to have this at night, but mainly it's about making the most of ingredients in season, or when we get to it, ingredients from the pantry. That's about 5 minutes so far, I think. So I'm now going to just add a touch of water and a touch of verjuice. Now, if you don't have verjuice, just use a good squeeze of lemon, because we need that acid balance, but it's very much part of my cooking. That was only a tablespoon. That was only supposed to be a tablespoon. So I'll let it cook down a bit, because it's a bit heavy-handed. Little bit of water, tablespoon of water. Now I did put salt in right at the beginning. Now I'm going to put the lid on, because now I want them to almost poach. They've been burnished on the outside, so I want to poach till they're done. And I'll turn it down a little bit and just let it go for another 5 or whatever minutes. You know, flat leaf parsley in the garden is so worth having. Even if you don't have much space, having parsley and rosemary and perhaps lemon thyme would be my favourites, although having had the summer with basil is amazing. But I don't go to a lot of trouble with this. I love the stalks of the parsley. Now, when I'm making a stock or a soup, I'd use the stalks just like that and put it into the stock. But here, I don't go to the trouble of picking all the flowers as so many people do, because it's so fresh, it's so beautiful, even the stalks are lovely to eat. And so I just want to roll this together, and this is what I do to make it easier. I sort of chop it in half and put the bulk all together, right? So we've got a big parcel, and then just chop it roughly. But the tighter the parcel you have, the easier it is. And of course, I picked more than I needed, and the chooks need greens, and I've got a lot more in the garden. Not quite. I want it to be able to squash down. Oh, see, some of the pieces aren't. I'll just give it another 2 minutes. But you can see that the moisture has evaporated into the eggplant, but it's on a low to medium temperature, so it's not going to burn. And it's because of the lid on that it's creating enough of a what should I say? Just enough. It's not moisture, it's just steam that's allowing it not to burn. Things that I just take for granted, I have to find the words to tell you. I actually love the flavour of it cooked like this. It wasn't a lot of oil, and it's really sweet. You've got to trust me. No bitterness, really, really sweet. 2 more minutes, and I'm going to put the eggs in. And once I put the eggs in, that's when it goes down very, very low. This is... See, you've got a lovely gold colour. You've got it cooked right through to the middle. Now, normally, the thing I would do would be to taste it to make absolutely sure. But of course, you'd easily burn your mouth here. But because I'm pressing it down, I'm sure that, yes, the thing I love about cooking is the smell of cooking, the smells, the sounds of cooking, but also tasting as you go. It's cooked, and even though I put a little bit too much verjuice in, I rather like that piquant. But for you, you could use water and a good squeeze of lemon juice if you don't have it. So now, the idea is the eggplant is the bed. I turn it right down, and I add my egg. I feel I have enough salt in the eggplant not to add it to the egg. Whoops. I'm just spread it over and put the lid on again, because I want the top to cook at the same time as the bottom cooks, and it's sort of, you might call it a cross between a frittata and scrambled eggs and an omelette. It doesn't have a name, it's just eggplant and eggs. And it doesn't need a recipe, it just needs those processes. Okay, let's time it, how long it takes. All right. Every time you cook, it will be different whether I'm cooking in my kitchen or yours, in my pan or yours. So I will time how long it takes in this pan on a low gas, but you'll have to use your feel that you'll develop. If you haven't already got it, that is. With the lid still on, while I get my plate ready to serve, it will just finish off itself. It's a bit like when you do scrambled eggs, you'll always take it off the stove before they're cooked. That'll be another day. 5 minutes. That took 5 minutes at a low temperature. 5 minutes at a low temperature once the eggs were in. Okay, so now, and it's shiny and just cooked, and this is where the magic of flat leaf parsley comes in, because, and you can see how rustic I am when I cook. Now, that is so tasty just by itself, but I'm always looking to see what else I've got in the fridge, and I had some creme fraiche left over. Now, if I had some yogurt or if I had some sour cream, any of those would just be sort of gilding the lily, and only if you have it. So, perhaps I would take it to the table like that. That's how we eat. So I would, just to make it look a little fancy, I'm going to put the creme fraiche right in the center, and because I can't help myself, that final little flourish of olive oil, and there you have a really beautiful simple meal. If I put all those stages together, under 20 minutes for sure. I hope you like it as much as I do.